Okay, so welcome everybody to my beautiful little presentation here. It does come with a little bit of information regarding what we do at BDC, and that is really, we are a bank that is specifically for entrepreneurs. We are focused on helping businesses to grow and expand. Now, does everybody see the presentation?
We do. Yep, we're good to go, Ray.
Okay, cool. And it allows everybody to grow and expand with their business. The important thing to understand is that with BDC being a Crown corporation, there is a greater focus on entrepreneurs, because we do want to see them grow, because that allows our economy to grow. So it's a focus on making smaller businesses grow, expand, become bigger, stronger, and not only compete within the Canadian marketplace, but to compete globally. Yeah. So with that being said, there are a few ways that we're able to help out businesses. Most people know that we are focused on financing, but other folks did not know that we also provide advisory services to help businesses to grow within their marketplace, improve themselves so that they can move to the next level. We talk about capital as well, because there is opportunities as businesses get larger to have access to venture capital, angel investment, the list goes on. But we get into a spot where there are some businesses that have a high cash burn rate, which means that they go through cash considerably faster than most industries. So in those cases, sometimes you need that connection with angel investor or venture capital to provide additional funds. Now it also comes at them investing in your business and having a percentage of ownership. But these are all things that are available, that we have access to through BDC. So we may be small, but we are mighty. As you can see, there are throughout Canada, there is around 2,100 employees that work away out of 110 centers. That being said, we do have reach to 42,000 entrepreneurs. So that's what we do. That's who we focus on. So that's why we are that bank of entrepreneurs. And just to touch on the iceberg, we do have, here's a snapshot of some of the industries that we have focused on throughout the country. And if need be, this presentation, we can share this as well. So it'll be available on that YouTube channel as well. So it's important that you understand that with BDC, we can't be everything to everybody. So we do try to be specific so that we're able to help people right off the bat. So again, we are a supporter of the financial institutions that you normally deal with. So your banks, your credit unions, they'll usually be your normally your first stop as you've built up a relationship with them for your personal banking, and in some cases, some of your business banking, you may have started with them. But that doesn't say that we're not, there are certain things that we're able to do a little bit easier than your chartered banks and your credit unions. So what we do is we actually fill in the gap for those certain issues. And we work with businesses that are focused on, they're focused on making a profit. So that's why when you see commercial basis, it's financially sustainable. So unfortunately, and for folks that know me, I'm very much a not-for-profit focused person. I've been on a few boards within Guelph. Always a friend to not-for-profits. In this instance, this is where I would say, you know what, you make sure you go to your financial institution, build that relationship. And a lot of times I help folks to connect with financial institutions to make sure that they get that connection to get things in place. BDC unfortunately doesn't do not-for-profit. They look at businesses that are for-profit. And with that being said, we leave your chartered banks and credit unions to do the lines of credit, the credit cards. They'll look after investments, as you can see here. What we specialize in is term loans, and we help business owners by being very good at that specific tool. That tool is important for, when we go down the road, I'll tell you why it's important that you understand why a term loan is helpful, to know that we are good at that as we start talking about partners that can help you. So again, we're looking at the business as a whole. So a lot of times, you may be, when you go into a financial institution and you speak to somebody in the branch, they may be asking you for notices of assessment, your tax returns. We like to focus on your business. So we like to look, because we're focused on project-based ideas, that we are focused on building something within your business. So a lot of times we'll be asking you questions about how long a project is, where is it going to be based out of, who is going to be managing that project. We'll be very focused on those things because, again, we're looking at the business, the growth of the business, and what tools can we bring to the table to help with that. We also want to make sure that in order to build that business, there are financial resources in place. We're going to ask you questions about that. We're also going to make sure that you have access to partners, professional advice. And in a lot of cases, there are opportunities where we can bring some advice to the table as well. So it does go, we look at financing, but it also goes beyond that. We look at ways that we can add to the business, add to the skills that you have, and build on that. So again, very flexible. When we talk about us being a bank for entrepreneurs, this means that we have to be flexible. So on this specific slide, you'll see that there is some flexibility when it comes to payment arrangements. Periods are longer. You'll also find that there is opportunities where we'll do more financing. So our the amount of financing that we provide is a little bit more. That's because at BDC, we are able to take on the risk a little bit more so than other institutions. You'll also notice that we look at cash flow as a very important piece. So a lot of times you'll have financing where it starts right away. In a lot of cases, we give a bit of grace in terms of principal by doing a principal postponement, which means your loan payment is made up of the principal amount as well as interest. Your interest is going to start right away, which is a smaller piece of the the payment pie. But your principal, we can give a break on that for up to, in some cases, it's 6 months. In other cases, it's up to as much as 12 months. So there is a little bit more flexibility as we want to focus on your growth. We want to focus on you using the money within your business, which is what we would call working capital. We want to make sure that's working for you. You utilize that to do some of those startup items to get things going. While we are, you've got the financing in place, it just means that the repayment is stretched out a little bit longer to help with cash flow. So a lot of times folks go to institutions and they're looking to get things started. In some cases, they're thinking, hey, I deal here personally, so no problem. I'll be able to do my business banking here, be able to start up a business here. Sometimes it's having the right connection, the right person. One of the things that we focus on with BDC is that startup. Now, not all startups are the same. There are some cases where, due to the industry, it could be a lot tougher, which might mean that the amount of money that you need to bring to the table is a little bit more so than others. However, it is by having that advice before you flick the switch is always important. It's always important to talk to somebody to get the lay of the land before you get going. This presentation will hopefully help you, give you some ideas, so that when you are ready and you do want to talk to somebody, you're a little bit more informed, a little bit more prepared to have those conversations and ask questions, to open up into more questions. I think that's key for anyone that is looking to get started their business. You're also in the right place in dealing with Christelle and her team, the business center, Guelph-Wellington. I've dealt with them, what is it now, 2012? Maybe even longer than that. But it's always been a place of advice and support for those starting a business. If you ask Christelle, for instance, who she knows downtown, I would say it's probably about 95% of the businesses that have started and are still in business, because
I know one or two, Ray, one or two.
she's modest too, but great. You know what? Great person to know and start, and that's kind of why this has kind of come together.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it is important, as you see on this slide, it is important that you have an idea of getting prepared, starting to look at your own picture. Personal credit is important, regardless of what institution you go to, because that's a predictor for your ability to do well as a business owner. It's going to look at how well are you going to be able to repay vendors or suppliers. How quickly will you be able to take charge of certain things? It does provide that kind of support by you being strong in that specific item. So yeah, that's like your business plan is also important, but we'll get to that as well in the presentation. But it is important that you have a plan in place. Oh, before I leave this, it is important. A lot of things are important, but this is very important, because financial institutions are getting a little bit more focused on this item of you running your business. Having experience within that industry is gonna be key. They look at that closely, because that is like, if you're going to be starting up a business, you've got to have some context. You have to have some knowledge within that industry. You got to know where to go to get support. If you are a librarian and you are actually getting into starting a Subway, might not be you might not be as prepared as somebody who was maybe a chef for a restaurant. Having a little bit of those transferable skills will be key. That's not to say that you can't do it. It just says that it's going to be tougher, and you want to have as many things in your back pocket as possible so that you can succeed.
I'm glad you said that, Ray, actually, because that's something that comes up quite often, when people say, well, I'll just, I'll employ people, I'll manage that, but you can't be in the business of that, and you can't afford that, especially when you're new to business, right? Like, you have to have an understanding and a depth of knowledge about the particular industry and experience and wisdom and all that in order to be successful, right? Yeah. I'm glad you mentioned that. Yeah.
It's a given. And I just think back to starting off in business banking myself, and and I think back and I go, darn, I should have been saying that to folks in the beginning. I was saying, hey, this is a great opportunity. Yeah, I'd love to, Tim Hortons, I'd love to do that. Yeah, I think that's a great idea, but they had no clue how to manage it. And then they got into it, and then they're selling it like 6 to 8 months later because they can't handle it.
Yeah.
So it's important to have that.
Ray, before you move forward, I have a couple questions about some of the stuff you already presented. Would you like me to ask them now? Just so.
Sure. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm curious, when you listed some, do you work with consultants? Does BDC work with consultants? So they might not necessarily, because sometimes not everybody has assets, right? I'm not opening a restaurant, I'm not opening a bakery, I'm not opening a manufacturing facility. So curious if working, consultants are just they are their IP, they are their working capital, right? So
yes, exactly. So a lot of times it's cases where we're looking at opportunities to provide them with some type of working capital to get them started. Sometimes it's, hey, I need to get people. I need to market. So where's that money going to come from? I've got some money, but I need a bit more to get going. And a lot of times it's with that business plan that they've got, that opens up the door for us to provide like that injection of working capital.
That's great. That's good to know. And my other question is, when you mentioned about the banks, so if I have an initial relationship with my bank, do the banks refer to BDC traditionally, or is it something I'd have to seek out separately?
You know what? There are some times that they do. I have a few folks that are very much like, if they've got some deals that are a little tight, we speak together and see if there's a way that we can work together to make it go across the finish line. There are some that are, there are some really great business advisors, business account managers that they are connected already with BDC. Sure. There are some new folks, or some that are just, how can I say this politely? Well, they just do whatever is put in front of them.
Sure, I get you. Yeah.
And you know what? And I do have some questions that I will definitely pass on in choosing a great advisor, because I think that's going to be a key piece. Because as many of the folks on the call, they'll start looking at who they work with, and maybe the questions I provide them might be something to pose to them to see if this person is good for them.
100%. And I've done that before. I've moved advisors, I've moved bank instant because they couldn't answer the questions that, and respectfully so, if they're handling my accounts or my monies or whatever, I need them to be up to date and in current and really engaged. And if they don't know the answer, that they're trying to find out the question, right? Like, they're trying to find the answer or direct me to somebody that would know it. So I've done that myself many times.
Yeah, and it's good that folks are hearing that, listening for that, in that are they really looking to find out the answer, or are they just putting me off to
Absolutely.
just buy time?
And because the banks and they need us more than we need them, right? I say that in a great respectful way, because we are customers, and if we're not bringing our monies or our accounts or our business to them, it's going to somebody else, a competitor, a different bank, et cetera. So, oftentimes people just kind of just say, okay, well, I guess I'll have to take this deal, and that's that. And I always encourage people to shop around, ask questions, ask intelligent questions. And I thank you for that. We'll make sure that people get that list, and we'll have it posted on our resources, because that's a great way to interview. It's because it's an interview, because you're going to build a relationship, a financial relationship with this person who's going to become a trusted, advocate, advisor for you. And so you want to make sure that you're building that right from the get-go, that there's a rapport and there's a respect and there's a great wisdom and understanding that can transfer.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. Question
Absolutely.
about with your financings, when you do finance, Ray, do you set up the receivers with any type of advising service? Like, do you know what I mean? Do they get a mentoring piece, or is that available to somebody? If I was getting some financing from BDC, would I be able to have access to a mentor or advisor or something just to check in?
We would actually, there is actually a mandate that we could set up specifically for that business. Now,
Great.
before anything is done, it's everybody has walked through it. So it's finding out if this is a good fit.
Sure.
A lot of times that advisory piece, it comes to play in certain circumstances. Like sales and marketing might be one where it's right off the bat, it's something that is immediately looked at for a lot of startups.
Sure.
We do have like a financial management one, but sometimes it's a case where a business needs to kind of go through its financials for like at least like a 2 cycles, just to see, hey, what does it look like, and
what's the pattern? What's the trends? Where is it going with it? Right? Did we properly assess our sales forecasting? Are we, paying attention to our expenses? That kind of thing. That's good to hear. And that's great to get that support, because we don't know what we don't know sometimes when we're starting our business or we're new to business. And so it's nice to hear that just is not, here you go, here's the money. But yeah, let's help you work through this, and let's build, do some rapport building and things like relationship building, right, as well too. That's important.
Yeah. And a lot of my colleagues, like myself and my colleagues, like we are part of your conversation.
Yes.
So as like, it's not like, okay, here you go, and then it's like, where's Waldo? Like we're there. Like we're part of your solution. So we want to be part of that advisory council. And I'll get into that a little
Sorry,
bit.
I'm probably jumping ahead on your questions in your presentation.
No, that's okay. And I want these questions, and it's fine because I can, this presentation is pretty fluid. We can it's slides, but we can get to those questions and dig in. Now,
that's
again,
awesome.
I want to make sure you guys know that there is all this. It's not just bridging. This is not just a one-time thing. We have, like, Business Center does this quite a bit throughout the year. So make sure you stay tuned for that as well.
Absolutely. And my final comment, and it's more a comment, Ray, and I love it. It's because of this slide. And thank you for about the business plan. We work very hard to work with our clients about, and we cannot emphasize enough, we do teaching on, cash flow forecasting and appropriate and realistic. I love that. Realistic and sales and marketing potential. We do a lot of work in teaching people how to forecast, how to be, operating in efficiencies, things like that, that a lot of times, and so that we work to prepare our clients so that when they're coming to you at BDC, that they come with the appropriate answers, they understand what their numbers look like, they can explain intelligently what the numbers look like and why they've picked them, in a better, because we want to set people up for success. So thank you for emphasizing that, because people don't realize you can't go without a plan. You need a plan, because they're not going to give you money until you figure out how they're going to get the return on the investment back, right? So.
Exactly. And what you're seeing here in terms of your business, this is my past investment person coming out. Take that same thing and do that personally as well. So you have to have a plan for both sides to work. You've got to have plans.
Absolutely. Love it. Thank you. You answered my question. Thank you.
No worries. So I'll move to the next slide, which just kind of, it touches on some of the items here. There's, usually financing, it says 150, but I've had some folks that have gone past that amount. It really does depend on the industry as well as the business, because there might be a case where, you know what, I need property, I need a building to operate out of. So, 150 ain't going to go too far anywhere in the Golden Triangle. So, sometimes you do need a bit more to get going. But it is good to have that kind of mindset of examining what costs you're going to have. So getting started. So again, we touched on this before, and it's not bad to touch on it again. Making sure you have knowledge of your business, of your industry, because again, I'm going to ask, like, I or my colleagues will ask questions, to find out, do you know your the business that you're getting into? Because again, one of the things in terms of financing, we have to understand what industries are happening. So we do some research to figure out, hey, are we talking the same language? I think it's important that you start to get to a point where you're understanding your business, understanding your industry, understanding the competition, and understanding the opportunities that are out there. Because all of the industries are pretty much similar. They do move fast. So if you're going to get into this, you better be ready to move quickly and understand what needs to happen so that you can take advantage. The idea, of course, is got to be good, but again, that's from you doing a lot of research and checking with, and this is where I start talking about advisory council, starting to check with people in that group. Advisory council is a strong accountant. You want to make sure you've got a connection with a lawyer. Your banker is going to be a good one, and it's going to be one where you're going to be able to ask these questions and be able to dig in a little bit deeper. And a financial planner is also important as well. And last but not least, having a development banker like myself is key, because again, we're part of a corporation that is focused on financing and advising entrepreneurs. So it's going to be somebody to help, because you're starting off in the right direction. You've got you're at the business center. You've got an advisor that is going to be providing you with support, development, and walking you through this business plan. But the business plan is yours. So they're going to be able to bounce some questions off of you and what ifs. But again, they're doing this so that you understand what you're talking about. And when you're looking to get financing, you need to know what your business is looking to do. Importantly, you gotta have some startup money of your own. For instance, with BDC, we do have we are looking at businesses coming in with at least 25% of the loan or the financing. That's their contribution into this. And that's you have to have some skin in the game to ensure that you are, BDC doesn't want to own your business. We want you to own your business, but we are there to provide you help and support by providing the financing. But if you are expecting financial institutions to do 100% financing, doesn't always come across. There are some institutions where they can get that. If you're dentistry, medical, you might be able to get that. Other industries, you might not have that luxury. So it's important to start putting away some of that equity that you're going to use for the business. This is where, you know, one of your advisory council is going to be that financial planner to help you with doing the investing and support and putting it in the right place. There's also time too. Like, it's not, some of you are probably looking at this from like 5 years ago, you've been dreaming about this. Some are looking at it and go, oh, a year ago, hey, I was thinking about it. But it's just making sure that you've got funds in there to support starting it up, as well as if things do not go as planned, you've got money aside to help support that. Personal credit history, we talked about this before, talk about it again. It's important regardless of the financial institution. They're always going to want to look at your personal history. How have you looked after your credit in the past? If you've been great with it, then the opportunity for this venture to succeed is greater. If you are a little messy with your credit, it might be a time to go back, fix that up, strengthen that, and then come back at this, because you're going to need as much support as possible. It's also your mindset. This business is basically, this is something that you're creating. You don't want to be pulling away from it. It needs that money to grow. So I've seen it where businesses have, like, business owners have gone into their business and they say, oh, well, you know what? Let me just borrow some money out of the earnings of this one. I'll put it back in there. No problem. You know what? They do this and then they don't put it back. It's almost like that credit card that has a balance on it, and they never pay that balance off. So what you want to get in the habit of is you spend it, you put it right back in. Because again, this business is going to not just look after you, but it's also going to look after your family if you do it right. When it comes to starting a business, and this is probably something that's not really new to anybody, but there are different structures to go about it. So you've got, and this is probably where the advisory council that I was talking about is going to really help, because they'll help you decide if, hey, am I going into this as a sole proprietorship, or am I going right away as a corporation? Or that person that I'm working with, and we want to start up as a partnership together. Is there anything I need to worry about? So remember how I was talking about that personal credit history? Sometimes that's something that you need to worry about on both ends, because one person is putting money into the business and the other person is taking it out if you don't have the right partner. So it's important to keep that in mind. Really and truly, after you've figured out what structure your business is going to be, that's when everything starts to come into play. Do I need articles of incorporation, or do I need a master business license? Then you're also looking at your business number. A lot of these things will come to play after you figure out really what your structure is.
And this is a lot of the work that we do too, where we actually walk people through with our consultations. We also do 2-hour workshops, and we do a 6-week workshop to answer these questions, to make sure that they're being thoughtful about, does this match what they're trying to accomplish? Because to your point, once you get going with it, then once you put the foot down, then it's time to keep going, right? So yeah, really important.
And nobody wants to, like, if you, like, for instance, you jump into a corporation, there are costs, right? And that cost, you're going to have to take care of that, right? So you want to make sure you're going into it at the right time. And I remember speaking to an accountant, and they have a good sense of when do we move into a corporation based on, like, revenues that are generated by the business. But those all vary from industry. So that's why it's important to start touching base with like an accountant and it's not an accountant that just does your personal tax returns. It's somebody that is actually going to provide you assistance as for your business. Business insurance, well, everybody needs that. You don't want to have any slip and falls and not have money to pay for it. So a slip and fall is somebody walks on your front step, they slip, and all of a sudden you have a lawsuit. So, just making sure you're preparing yourself. All right, now business plan, I know we've beaten this to death, but it's important because, again, it just helps you make sure that you are properly planning for your business. As Christelle has said, spending like extra time on this, because again, if you're not preparing, you're looking to fail, right? If you're not making the effort to figure out things, then you're not going in the right direction. So it's important that you do these items as well. You're looking at what's happening in the market, what's the industry trending towards, and just getting as much information as you can. And this stuff that you're doing in terms of making that business plan is helping you to decide, hey, is this a good venture for me to get into? Because sometimes you start working on that business plan and then finding out, geez, this isn't going to work out for me. And it's okay. That's okay. It's better that you find out now than not having made a business plan, just jumping into it and then realizing this is not for me. Yeah, and that's information there. You know what? You have gathered that before. But what I want to do is get into some of the meat of this. And I think it comes down to what we look at in terms of when we were looking at financing. So that executive summary that you see there, that's a quick snapshot to get us into pulling us into your dream. But number 3, again, is going to be the one that we're going to focus in on, because, again, we want to make sure that this business is being managed by people who understand the industry, understand the market. And like I said, it's not just one financial institution that's going to be looking at this. They're all looking at it because it is a good indicator for success of a business. If you have experience within like managing, like I wouldn't say you have to be, like management is good on your end if you have already looked after people, but to have experience within the industry that you're looking to put your business in, you need that. Can't be just going in, hearing that, hey, this is a great idea, but not having any experience in that idea. That will be not good for you. Marketing plan is key, because we want to see where your mind is at in terms of how you are looking at going after your revenue for your business. Where are these sales going to be coming from? Who are you marketing to? Where's it going to come from? And how sustainable is it going to be? If we're talking about, like, for instance, I was talking to somebody about a gym, and they were saying, hey, you know what, we're back in, no more COVID. And I said, no more COVID? We're still in COVID. What are your plans if you've got people that are not quite ready to come in? Do you have something available like on Zoom or Teams? Oh, no, I just thought people were ready to get out and come back in. Said, you might be, but not everybody is. So you've got to look at that market. So it's important that that you are looking at, like I looked at that as an income stream. You know what, I set that up and it's people that they can't come in, but they're paying a subscription to work out in front of like a fitness trainer. That's money. So that person missed the boat on that. So I actually said, hey, go back to the drawing board, think about this a little bit more, and let's keep talking about this, because I don't think you're quite ready yet. So I think it's important that you look at these items to see, you know, specifically how can I obtain opportunities? How can I pull that in? How can I build this business? HR is always going to be a tough one. That's why I reach out to some of the folks in my network and ask them questions. But again, it is important that that advisory council, they'll have people that that specialize in that, so that you can make sure you're connecting with that. These are questions that you're going to want to answer, because again, how are you building this business out 3 years down the road, 5 years down the road, 10 years down the road? You're going to be adding on more people, and how are you going to do that? What kind of policies do you need to start thinking about to have in place? And then your financial planning, having that acumen to understand what is happening within my industry, what's happening in this market, it's going to be key. So it's better to have that group around you to help support you with that. But as you start building this plan, you're going to start to see, okay, what am I really strong at and what am I weak at? These things are going to start to pop out. And these are things that that's where you got to bring in people to help support you. Oh, okay. I was just looking at the chat too as well. And somebody got the answer to that 25%. Okay.
So we're just about
we're almost there. And you know what? There's still some other stuff there, but that's okay. What I wanted to do is actually get into those questions, because I've been hammering away on that advisory council. I do believe that's important. And I think it's important with the relationships that you currently have right now, that you have, that you're pointing these questions out to people.
Yeah.
And let me see if I can switch this to, because all I've done is just put it on a Word doc.
Oh, okay. So you just cancel your screen and then. Perfect.
And then I'll put it on this one. Let's see if I can make it. Okay, so I think I'm ready to share it for you. There it is. It's nothing simple, but it's something I picked up over the years. Just questions that you need to ask. So number one, it starts off with, why should I work with you as an advisor? And I think what you're really looking for is, can they come back to you with something articulate, something that's meaningful, but also, how proactive are they? Is it all like, is the wording all reactive? Like, is it like, yeah, I'll be able to return your calls, or I'll be able to get that information out to you? Or is it like this, where it's like, together we're going to come up with some great ideas on how we can build your business. I'll be looking at different trends within the industry that's going to support your business. If it's more discussion like that, okay, I'm more apt to hear more about what they're saying. And have them tell you about what their ideal client is. Because, you know, you want to understand, does this person really want to work with me? You know, like if they're like, you are running a marketing firm, and you know, you're getting things going, and they come back to you and say, oh, well, this neurosurgeon that I was working with the other day, like if they're not talking about people within your industry or your market, well, maybe they're telling you something that this isn't ideal. This isn't an ideal relationship. What would the last person you spoke to on the phone say about you? So asking that question without having preparation will be key, because you're getting them to really say what it really is about. It's not scripted. If it is scripted, you'll tell because it'll have a lot of pauses, a lot of ums and ahs. But if they're able to come out to you and say straight off, you'll have a good idea that this person talks to quite a few people, and two, are they unique? Are they genuine? Number 4 is something that we've never really got into before, like in terms of explaining your credentials. Like when I was a investment advisor, like I'd have to tell you, hey, I have this, I'm able to sell these mutual funds or what have you. But have them explain to you, what do their credentials mean to you? Because if they can explain how it's going to help you, what are they worth your time, right? I think it's important for a person to explain that, hey, you know what, I spent like 8 weeks doing small business credit training. What this does is it helps me to understand your business, your industry, and finding out how to help you finance it in a proper way, how to structure the loan so it's beneficial to you and your business. Like if they're able to come to you and say something like that to explain what they do and why they do it, I think that's key. But these questions are not supposed to be easy. These are supposed to be tough, and these are supposed to have the person on the other end thinking. And last but not least, this is all about credibility. Tell me why the person that referred you would refer you to me, because this is going to explain, fill in the blanks and help me understand why. Why should I work with you? What have you done for them lately? If they start telling you a story about how they helped the other person, then okay, they've got a relationship. So that's a few of the questions that might, it's going to put some people on backtracking and stuff. There's no perfect answer, but what it does for you is give you more clarity about who you're dealing with. And it might make you ask some questions for other people that you know and trust. And you know what, this is what this person said, just to get a better understanding of who you're working with.
I love it. That's great. And it's, again, as you say, it's going to be a relationship that you're going to carry forward with. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks, Ray. This is great. We'll make sure that we'll get these posted as well too, with the resources. And so at this point, we're about 6 minutes away here. So just curious, I'm happy to stop recording if anybody has questions that they don't want recorded. If you'd like to prefer just to ask a question without having it recorded, we can do that. I'll give everybody a second. Just let me know in the chat. If not,
I'll stop sharing. I can always send these items to you.
Yeah, like I said, Angie will follow up. So we can certainly, for those of you who did join us today, Angie's happy to send these out afterwards. So she always does. So with that, I don't see anything popping up, Ray. That was a great presentation. It was very inclusive of a lot of great information. So I think you did an excellent job of, oh, I see one hand raised.
There we go.
Hi, how are you?
Yeah, hi, I'm good. You?
Good. Would you like me to stop recording, or are you comfortable sharing?
Yeah, I'm comfortable, everything. So
thank you.
Just a thing, I might have missed some of the things in between because I'm at work and I'm consecutively listening the BDC seminar also. So I might have some missed things, but I wanted to make sure I have an idea which I had already discussed with one of the BDC member, and I have shared, and she said that idea is good, but the only thing is I'm an international immigrant, and still I'm on my work permit. So I have, as said, I need like I developed my business plan, and it's an e-commerce. It's an e-commerce application. I developed a business plan, and I have everything ready on hand. So for that, I need a fund of around one. I made an estimate. So I need a fund of around $125,000. So I had $25,000 in hand to a startup. So should I go ahead and one as I have applied for my permanent residency, can I go ahead and start my startup? So and later on, will I be getting a funds, or should I apply the funds priorly?
So so what she has probably said to you is that you'll need that permanent residency to as something in terms of providing you with the funds. That's part of the financing. So I would say to you, I would put you back to that individual and make sure that they understand that yes, you've got your permanent residency. And you're ready to go in terms of having you have your business plan. You've got funds available to contribute to the financing. If you have that, if you have the permanent residency, you're ready to start talking about putting something together in terms of financing.
Yeah.
Okay, so once the business comes into the action, once I put that, like once I get my PR, once I put everything in action, then I can show you the growth of the business and profits and losses, and I can apply for the
Yeah, I
loan.
would. Yeah, what I would say to you is that you've already started a great conversation with this account manager, and let them know where you're at in terms of your preparation. It sounds like you're ready to make some moves and get this going. Just want to make sure that you're staying close, because again, they probably have had that chat. They've got the notes. They're ready to go. So go ahead.
Yeah. And I think that's a good point. I think to follow up with your advisor, because this is a very personal situation, and depending on where you are with the permanent residency and things like that, I think it requires a larger conversation, as Ray has suggested. So with that, I am going to have to thank you for your question. And thanks again, Ray, it's always a pleasure to see you. Thanks for bringing sunshine to this gloomy day today. We really appreciate it. I always love when we have these great conversations. We'll make sure that we get your Ray's contact information as well, so we can also direct accordingly. And thanks again, everybody, for joining us. And we'll look forward to seeing you all again. For now,
sounds great.
Enjoy.
Take care, everybody. Have a great day.
Well.
Happy
Thanks,
Monday.
Ray. Take care.
Bye.